Welcome back to the continuation of this section on not about the system tray. That just happens to be the context with which we're trying to solve a particular kind of problem, and that was explained in the previous video, where we want to take a piece of code, make it common to two different kinds of objects that have similar properties, and part of the solution has to do with something called subclassing a window. Well, I've gotten rid of everything here, and what I want to do is first, before going on, I have to apologize. The last video lacked, as I've been supplying in these videos, a beautiful smoking woman. So I think I owe it to you guys and gals to be able to view yet another beautiful woman, and here she is. I find this one particularly beautiful in what it says about how your mind works. If you look at this image and ask yourself the question, how much information is in this picture? I mean, it is the picture itself fits the screen exactly, which is 1366 by 768, quite big. So it's a large image, but obviously most of it's black. So there's very little information. There's just a few lines, but it's not hard for your mind to fill in the blanks, sort of. It reminds me of that sort of Japanese minimalist art that, that contains just a few strokes, a few brush strokes, and that the rest of the image is in your interpretation of a few lines. In fact, the file size for this is a little bit bigger than I thought it would be, 44 kilobytes. But that's probably because of the detail in this smoke here. Most of the information would be to take care of this. And also the quality is quite high. This is a JPEG image, and a JPEG image of low quality will have what they call artifacts, where there's a gradient effect, like here, where it goes from light color smoothly into a dark color, and you don't see any of that in this image. There are no artifacts, at least as far as what I'm looking at. And so that's probably the reason for the size. You could probably fit a similar image in less, maybe 10 kilobytes with the same size and almost as much detail. So I'll let you admire that for a minute, and I'll try to make sure I don't forget in the video to include at least one image of yet another beautiful smoking woman, or smoking woman smoking. Alright then, now on to what I was about to do. I've taken away everything from here, and I'm going to make a brand new project. It'll be just a unit test type thing. So we'll start with basic Windows application. And I'm going to create a project called when we're looking at the concept of subclassing a window. So we'll call it subclass. Now, what I have here in my quick list is this book, the one I mentioned before. Is that the same one? No, not that one. Here. This is that book by Charles Petzold, which is, I wanted to find an example of a very, very basic Windows program that doesn't use any special classes or anything. And he has one right at the beginning here. And so I'm just going to copy and paste this into my project. Hopefully it will do what it does. Let's see now. Subclass. Just copy it here. Okay. So here's his win main. We'll keep that. There we have that. Now that just said, I just saw P stir, so that he's compiled this for non-Unicode. So we can do the same. To minimize the number of changes required, we don't want retest. Now that may or may not compile as is. You're missing something named differently. That's building a common. Why? I just added this code recently. There should be an assertion below this. There'll be a number copied. I think probably the assertion should involve this number. And that's how big the buffer is. Probably -1. Oh, no. Usually these sorts of things don't include the null terminator, but I'll know if the assert goes off. Let's see. We'll be calling that. Okay. And I command show. That's this. So it should be an int. Play sound. Well, we can use the message beep. -1 actually didn't work for that. You won't hear it anyway. I'll hear a beep. You won't. Well, I don't know. You might hear it. Oops. Yeah, it beeped. So here we go. We now that program compiled, and we can tell how dated it is. It says "Hello Windows 98." But here he's demonstrated how to create a basic Windows application. Alright? And what that involved was declaring these types of things. A wind class structure registers the class. Okay. Then he does create window, just as we do. Show window, update window, and then message. Same as everything we've ever done. And here's the window prop. Alright. Now, here he's demonstrating handling a WM Paint message. And these messages are being received whenever the window is resized. And the way he's drawn it is he's used various flags that cause the text to be centered. Now, it's the wrong operating system, but simple code like this is going to compile today, and it's going to compile 1,000 years from now as well. This isn't using any fancy new stuff that keeps getting changed. This is using the base functions. I see he's taken a lot of trouble to make sure that to protect against things being Unicode or not. So I guess but he had in his declaration, he had LP stir. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Now what I'd like to do is I want to make another window and of a particular type of class that already exists, and that class is a button. And okay, now we're done with this. Now I can find that in the help, but I have to press F1. Which means, oh no, it's fast. Okay. That is what I was searching for before, strangely. See if that helps. I found an example. Somewhere in here is an example. Okay, all I wanted was this code. Okay, now I'll do that in create. Let's make this a global. So, there's no class here, there's no context, so everything has to be global. Okay, now this here is creating a button manually, just by using a create window call. Just like this create window, with the text of the window first, the window text, class name first. Okay, class name, then window text. Okay, now here's the size, here's the style. Now the button is a control, so it turns out that I'll show you in a minute. that 0 is actually a better thing to put here. Because this will be interpreted as a regular old number, not as a handle to anything. H instance the same. Now what they've done is they've grabbed the H instance from H1. It's possible to extract the H instance belonging to the map, to the window, by getting one of the things in the window structure. So let's see if it's compiled. Okay. Number to keep up with the times. This function makes sure that you don't get a warning. Okay, so that succeeded. Alright, I run the program again. Now you notice that there's a button here, and I can even press it. Even use the keyboard to do stuff with it. And that's all there is to actually creating a button. And what about what the button does? I haven't positioned it, but that's the position I've given it. It's a tiny size. Usually buttons are wider than they are high. A button works by, when you press it, it returns you a WM command message to the parent. The parent has been specified here. So if I press that button, I should get a WM command, and I could just do a message box. Now I want some the button said %B, and it's in the low word of W param. And some text for the title. Button talk. Spoke. The button spoke. Now I'm going to tell you right now. Oops, a little break here. I'm going to tell you right now what it's going to say. Whoops. It's going to say 0. And the reason I know that is because a button is a special type of window that treats this menu parameter as its identifier. See? Now that's not proof enough. Let's change this to a different value. 5. Whoops. But I'm going to cast it right. See? So that's how buttons are used and created for dialogues and any kind of program. There's nothing stopping anyone from creating a button. It minimizes with the window, and it sends messages back to the window when you press it. And has other functionality, like I said before. It has keyboard functionality, but I can't use the keyboard to get to it. It will, if I can get the focus on it, then the spacebar will cause it to press. I think it started out with the focus. At one point it did. Maybe when it was 0. No. But I can set the focus on create, actually. I think that should be okay. And then in that case, I have to return either true or false. Try one. See if that. No, but that's for a dialogue. Well, we'll see. Yeah, it may not matter for a regular window. Okay, it has the focus. You can tell by the dotted lines. So now pressing the space bar causes it, and here's another button that also has the focus, and I can press space bar to bring it down and release. But now I've lost this focus. But I could have. I'm curious about this, sorry. I could have done that on, yes, it doesn't matter. If I wanted to, I could take this same piece of complicated code and place that here, and that'll return the focus to the button after the dialog is displayed. So I can keep pressing this forever. Okay? Alright. Now where's the wind proc? Well, that you see that you don't specify any wind proc when you create a window of a particular kind. A wind proc has to do with the class, right? Here, when we made our window, wind proc here was specified in the wind class structure, as well as the name of the class name. Class name. You should have called this class name. To make it easier to read. So that's the class name. So we create a window of this class to make the outer window, and similarly another create window where the class name is called button, and that's a predefined class, and it has its own wind proc. How do we look and find out what its wind proc is? One way is to do it using a program, using our program. Another way is to use this spy thing. Find window. Okay, here's our window, and here's the button. Here's the window procedure of the button. Now, one way, what you could do, suppose we want to change the behavior of this button in some way. It's just a window like anything else, and it has a window procedure. And so one thing you can do is you can take this window procedure, make up your own window procedure, right, and do some handles one of the messages in a slightly different way than usual, and then when you're not handling a message, to then call back into the original window procedure, and that's called subclassing. So how would we do that with this button? Well, first things first, we need to be able to find out. We need to be able to get the window procedure of this corresponding with this window, and we can actually do that right here. Let's make another global, a window procedure, original. Okay. G for global. And this procedure is global for all buttons. All buttons have the same class, so they have the same window procedure. And we can do just like this. We have this window handle, and we just need to find out what the correct offset within the special system structure is where the window procedure is stored. So it's they all go GWLP underscore, and I think it's just wind proc, but I might be wrong. No, that's it. Okay. Now that's the wind that will return us a number. And if I step up to here, sure it's the same type. What I want to do is take note of this and then use the SPI and show you that it's the same thing. And we can add it to the message. Hello button. Wind proc equals percent X. Now is that right? Right number of brackets? I think that's right. Alright. Okay, so we don't have to print anything out except in the debugger. 7677 dB blah blah blah. And I'll use the SPI. SPI 1. Doesn't have to be the same as the last one. Now what does this say? 77dBcd. That's the same. 7677 dBcd. See? Same thing. So we're able to retrieve the window procedure of the button by simply extracting it from the class structure. You can also, this is the window, sorry, there's two ways to get it. There's that way and then there's this way. Class, now I don't know if this is, now this is the global one, the one that's used by all buttons, whereas the window one can change, but they should be one and the same in this case. It is, it's the same. Okay? Now, that's important because if I can get these things, I can also set them. If I set the window procedure for an entire class, well, that won't necessarily have an effect on this button. It's too late; it's already been created. But any further buttons created are going to get a new window procedure. If I just set it for one particular button, then it's just one button that would be affected, and all the others would behave normally. And I just want to do it for one particular thing. So I would need a window procedure to replace the button, this procedure, and then after we're done doing what we're doing, to call this thing. Alright. Now, so just reverted to what we had. Question is, what do we want to change? And I'm going to think about that, actually. I'm going to stop the video here and continue, depending on how long this is, either continue after I found something to do with it on here, or the next video. Okay, so I'm going to stop this here. Decided that that I can do something with this as it is pretty quickly. So I'm going to just do it now. Now, as I said, there are gets and sets of the same name, either for a particular window or a class of windows. So if we can get the window procedure pointer, we can also set it. So that means if we invented a new window procedure, and this is what window procedures all look like. Invent one. That's all there is to making a new one. Now, first thing I'll do is not do anything at all. Just we want to just chain to the original button procedure. So the way to do that is to use a special function which takes a previous procedure and all the rest. Now I would like to set this window procedure to be the new window procedure for our button. Now it turns out that the set version returns the previous one, so this line can remain the same. And here's the window. The offset is the same, but we have to supply a new value for the window procedure. Like that. And we have to cast it as a long PTR, because this function only gets and sets things of this particular type, so we have to make sure it's the same type. Now, first thing is, we're going to return that. First thing I should mention is that you might think that it would be good enough to just use this directly and call with these parameters, but this is the prescribed method because this call window prop function is a marshalling type function, and that means that it ensures that this window procedure, all of its messages will be received within the same thread context. Within the same thread context, there will not be messages coming in from more than one thread at a time. This is a great big marshalling of messages. So one has to use this call window prop instead of calling it directly. Okay. Now by this point, it's completed. Window procedure pointer has been changed, and what we could do, how do we prove it? Well, we can prove it in two ways. First, I would like to print them both out, actually. So, another one prop. New. Button new. I'd like to set that equal to something that I'm about to define, so I'll put that here. That happens to be that's what's going to happen, and we want to prove it actually. So put that back where it was. And what we can do is just put in here the same line we had originally. Let's say new, and just do a get without setting anything. And so now it should return the thing we just passed in. If it doesn't, there's something wrong. And let's array org. I'll put that there. You can use character returns in a single line. It won't work. The new one. And okay. And then we can use the spy to just make sure that that's what it sees as well. Okay, so now this says that the return value from that is that. The button is still working because we're calling the win prop. We didn't call the win prop, so it stopped working. That's one thing we can test if you want. It wouldn't even draw itself, it wouldn't see much. So here, and it even says subclassed. Okay? So here's the button, and it's been subclassed properly, and that's the new window procedure of the button. Okay. So the next step is to do something, and all I did was, I got it commented down below. I'll just copy what I have. And we invented 2 more globals. Okay, so first, a global for the button's text, which if we wanted, we could pass in here. The original text, and OK, and a boolean. It's not required, but just put it in anyway. It's not seeing mouse either. It should be something more. This has to do with something called mouse capture. If there's a property, there's a thing that you can do in Windows, which is you can request of the system to have capture of the mouse. And when a window has the mouse capture, it sort of owns the mouse in a sense. I think certain messages will not be received by other windows. I think all of the messages probably go to the one that has the capture. So now I know buttons generally, you have something with a button. here. That button has the mouse capture. I'm holding the key down, and that's why it's going up and down when I move it over there. And notice how nothing else responds to the mouse. Unfortunately, it didn't have the focus. It'd be nice to have something with focus. Well, our window does that. And so the window that has the mouse capture sort of owns the mouse and is the one that gets all the mouse messages during the time until that capture is released, when other windows will be able to receive messages from the mouse. So, excluding WM paint, you should never do anything during a WM paint message at all. Just let the regular handler deal with that message. But you're pretty safe on any other message to do stuff, fiddle around and change things. Now, what I've done is, if the mouse doesn't if we haven't seen any capturing, so if the mouse is not captured, but this function says it is, then I'll set this boolean to true as an efficiency, and I change the window text to whatever it is currently plus mouse. Okay. Otherwise, if previously we'd seen that we had the capture, and we no longer have it, let's set this boolean to false, and set the window type back. Okay, and then continue on with calling the original procedure. So that will enable us to see first that our window procedure is being called and processed, and we can also see when the capture exists and when it doesn't, by the alteration of the text. So now, just moving the mouse over doesn't do anything. If I click and hold the key, the left button down, it says OK plus mouse. See, it's going up and down. I'm not releasing the button. I can release that button anywhere, like here. Okay, and that meant the capture just was lost. If it so happens that I released the capture and the mouse while I was within the area, the rectangle of the button, then I get a message. It sends a message. But even if the up click is received and we have the capture, but the mouse is not inside the button, no message produced. Here, message produced. So that demonstrates subclassing a window. Now, one thing you can do is you can call the old window block first, and then do some post-processing, right? Another thing I could have done here, let's say, is change the brush. Okay, so now you've seen what it is to subclass a window. It means to replace the window procedure with one of your own, and that allows you to, well, in some instances you could prevent certain messages from getting through. You can change the behavior of an object. And do anything you like, basically. You can completely totally change the way the object behaves, and never even call the original window procedure if you wanted to. Just make a totally customized button that does all kinds of animating and fancy tricks and things you can do on your own. This is just a regular window procedure like this. It receives messages just like this does. Key up, key down, everything. They all come in here, and the button. The reason why people use the button class is because it's, that's a complicated, not that complicated, but complicated enough job to draw a button and handle the mouse capture and post messages back and forth and whatnot. And so somebody standardized that and made a class called button, so you don't have to. Okay, so that's it. Next time, I'll show you, along with another picture of another beautiful woman, which we can look at again as I leave. I will show you how I've used that technique in order to implement the systray manager's private message handling. So when those private messages get received, systray handler does its thing and doesn't pass those messages along. Otherwise, it just changed to the original window procedure. Well, I misworded that what I said at the end there. Not the original window procedure, but this pointer is the thing that is able to be retrieved from the either the dialog or the window that's been created. I have a way of obtaining this pointer for the container object, which, as I explained before, allows me to find out everything else that I need to know in order to process the messages properly. Okay.